application. I'm going to focus on our Living Promise product at this point, but I will also point out the products that we do have available on this electronic app. So the first step is to log into Mutual of Omaha's broker website. That website is called Sales Professional Access. And in order to log in to Sales Professional Access, you will need to register if you have not already done so. So access mutualofomaha.com/broker, and it will walk you through the steps of how to register. You will need your producer number in order to register if you have not already done so. Once you've registered, you will be able to get directly into the Mutual of Omaha site. This screen that you're seeing is not actually what it looks like on the welcome page. You will see links on the side, on the top, etc. But in order to get to the eApp, what you would do is click on the Sales Tools tab at the top. What you're going to see is this screen that isn't exactly what you're going to see, but I have to use this for demonstration purposes. You will see other items up here at the top, such as resource materials. There's a Meds Up eApp, long-term care eApp, etc. But what you want to do is make sure you scroll down to the very bottom of the screen, and you're going to see this check mark, this green check mark that says iGo Electronic Applications. Once you click that, you're going to be brought to this screen right here. So you see the big buttons that said Start a New Case or View My Cases. In order to start a new case, all you do is click the button, Start New Case, and that's going to bring up a screen that shows case information. So you basically enter the client's name, and I will type as quickly as I can here. I can usually go through this fairly quickly. It's going to ask for the date of birth, the gender. Case description is just a place where you can look up or just identify this case based on any parameters that you want to set. It's not a field that is required. You would choose the state that you want, whether it's accidental death, that's one of the products that's on our eApp. Term life includes our fully underwritten term life answers, our express term life products, or whole life. Whole life includes Living Promise, which is our final expense. It also includes our children's whole life. Okay, so once you have your products up, you just select the product you want. In this case, I'm choosing Living Promise, and it brings you into the application. Now, let me back up here just a second. You can use this eApp for phone sales if you want to. If you're talking to a client on the phone and they want to go ahead and apply for insurance, you can use this email signature process that's built into the system, or you can actually do this face-to-face as well. So you bring up the application on your iPad or your laptop, and while you're sitting there with the client, you just complete the information just as you do for the email signature process. Okay? So in here I have the name of the insured. It transferred over from the other screen. It's going to ask for the client's Social Security number, their date of birth, and their weight. It'll ask for a street address and the city and the state I entered before, a phone number. Now notice when I am clicking through here, it actually changes the screen from yellow to a no color at all on that field. If you do have a field that is in yellow, and that is a required field if you want to submit this electronically, if you don't complete all the sections, what's going to happen is it is going to not allow you to submit this electronically. The next screen is additional information about the primary insured. So does the insured have a driver's license? If you click yes, It is going to pop up a box for you to enter the driver's license number and the state in which that driver's license was issued. If you click no, there's no box that's going to come up. Now, by clicking no on this particular product, it doesn't exclude them from coverage. We just want to know if they have a driver's license, and if they don't, why not? So the next question, is the name used for medical records different than on the application? I'm going to say no. Will the proposed insured be the owner? I'm going to say yes. So what would happen if the medical records, the name of the medical records is different? Again, a new box is going to pop up, and you're just going to include what that name is. The same thing with the second question. Now, here is part one of the underwriting questions. These are the same questions that's on the application. There's no difference just because it's an e-application. This part one of the underwriting questions, these are basically the knockout questions. So if you answer yes in any question in part one, and it's listed up here at the top, that person is not eligible for any coverage. Okay, so I answered no on all of these questions. And then we go back or continue on to part two of the application. If the client answers yes to any of these questions on part two, they're only eligible for the graded plan. If they answer no to all of these questions, then they're eligible to apply for the level death benefit plan. Okay? So in my example, I'm checking no to all the health questions. So that means my client should qualify for the level death benefit, and then I click the next button. You'll be asked to enter beneficiary information. You click right here, and the screen will pop up so that you can add beneficiaries. It will ask if this is an individual or if it is not an individual. So not an individual would be someone such as a trust or children of the insured, etc. So keep that in mind. It'll ask for the relationship, and I'm going to choose spouse. It'll ask the percentage that you want this person to get. So it has to equal 100%. So if there's only one primary beneficiary, you want to leave this at 100%. If they are going to have two primary beneficiaries and you want to split it 50-50, enter the first beneficiary, enter 50% here, and then click Save. You'll be brought back up to the screen to where you can click here to add another beneficiary and add the second primary beneficiary. There's also a screen that's going to pop up regarding a contingent beneficiary. You would add contingent beneficiaries just like you do primary beneficiaries. All right. Now I am in a test environment, so it seems a little clunky, so I apologize for that, but the live environment is a lot quicker and a lot smoother to use. You would just enter the amount of insurance that's going to be applied for, whether or not the person wants to add the additional accidental death benefit rider by checking that box and then click the next button. It's going to ask a series of questions regarding other coverage, which is standard. That's on our paper applications as well. The question is, does the proposed insured have any pending applications or existing life insurance or annuity contracts with the company or any other company? Is the insurance applied for intended to be replaced? So I'm going to click no to both of those. Again, if I click yes, it will pop up a box asking where that other coverage is through. Okay. Now, since you logged into our Sales Professional Access, the system will know who you are. Okay. So in this case, it's going to it'll list who your marketer is right here. So in your case, it's going to list American Insurance Marketing. If you have a drop-down box, you might want to just make sure that it does say American Insurance Marketing. For ease, I'm just going to click someone right here. It automatically enters my producer's name. So in this instance, I am logged in as Cedric. It'll ask for Cedric's date of birth. And actually that will probably be automatically completed and filled in just as the producer number is that I'm using. It'll ask for the last 4 of the Social Security number, and then it'll ask for the email address. All right. Will there be a additional producer associated with this contract? So as you know, you can split cases. If you do, you would click yes, and it'll ask for that second producer's information. And then we continue on to the producer statement. Do you believe that this policy applied for has replaced or will replace coverage? I'm going to say no. In the past 13 months, has the proposed insured informed you, the producer, that he or she has any pending life insurance or annuity contracts with the company or any other company? Has any policy been canceled or lapsed in the last 13 months? Are you related to the proposed insured? How long have you met the proposed insured? I'm going to put just met. The same with the owner. Since in this case the insured is the owner, I'm going to go ahead and put just met for both of those. The next question is I certify that I have interviewed the proposed insured and asked the questions exactly as they answered them. I say yes. And I conducted said interview in person. So if you are doing this application face-to-face, okay, you're going to click yes because you did do the application in person, all right? If you are doing a phone sale, you want to click no and just put phone sale. That's all you need to do, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and click yes. It'll ask for the previous residence for the last 5 years. So if they have had any other residences in the last 5 years, they need to go ahead and include that there. Also, there's a place for any additional information or comments. So if, for example, they said no to, do I have a driver's license? You might want to explain that. If not, the underwriters will come back and ask for an explanation as to why the client does not have a driver's license. And whatever the reason is, you know, maybe they just never driven, their eyesight is bad and they no longer drive, whatever it is, just list it. Go ahead and click the next button. And this is where you come to the premium summary screen. All right. So it transfers the information over regarding this client that they're applying for the level death benefit, $10,000, non-tobacco, and it'll ask to calculate the modal premium. So you click calculate modal premium. And what should happen is that the annual premium should show up here. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's doing it at this time. Okay, so I went ahead and clicked calculate modal premium. Looks like it's not going to calculate, but I'll go ahead and continue on the best I can here. It'll ask if they want to pay by initial credit card. I wouldn't really recommend that particular option just because if you get a credit card for the initial payment, you still have to get bank information for any recurring premiums. So it's just not real conducive to going ahead and getting that information. So I'm going to click no to there. And you see that my premiums have displayed. I'm going to go ahead and choose monthly bank service plan. What this is going to do, it's going to bring up an additional screen so I can enter the bank information. You will need to just look at this right here, view conditional receipt. What this means is that if the proposed insured dies while the coverage under this receipt is in effect, will pay the beneficiary the lesser of the face amount or $4,000. So all that is basically the same as the paper conditional receipt. If your client wants to see this, what the actual receipt looks like, you would click this button right here. If you're face-to-face, you would just turn it around and let them look at it. On the email signature process, that's emailed to them so they have that information, so you don't need to worry about doing that. Okay, so if I was to choose an annual, semi-annual, or quarterly mode, they would just have to submit payment upon delivery of the policy to place that in force. So since I chose bank service plan, it automatically brought up the bank service plan information. So it'll ask who will be the payer for this policy. I'm going to click the insured, the type of account. It'll ask for the name of the financial institution. It'll ask for the routing number. It will also ask you to re-enter the routing number just to make sure that it is correct, and the same with the account number. Now, they can specify when they want their ongoing premiums to be withdrawn. So after the initial payment, if they want to pay their ongoing premiums, let's just say on the 5th of the month, they can do that just by checking the day right here. It'll also ask them how they want the initial premium to be drafted. Do they want that drafted immediately upon approval or on a specified date? All right. So in this instance, if I choose draft initial premium immediately upon approval, and let's just say today is the 22nd and the policy is approved on the 25th, we're going to draft their bank account on the 25th for September's payment. And because they chose the 5th of the month for their ongoing premiums, on October 5th, another draft is going to come out of their account. And then November 5th, another one, December 5th, and so on. Okay, if I chose draft initial premium on or after a specific date, for example, the 5th of the month. So let's just say that since we are getting towards the end of the month and they don't want to have premiums withdrawn too close together, what I could do is I could choose draft initial premium on October 5th. And what's going to happen then is we're going to underwrite the policy. We're going to issue it with an effective date of October 5th, and we're going to withdraw the first premium October 5th. And then recurring premiums will start then on November 5th, December 5th, etc. Okay. Now I do want to point out here on the left-hand side, this is the navigation tree. So at any time, if you see a question mark, that means there's something missing in that section of the application. Also, at any time, you can save this application and come back to it at another time. You can actually view forms as well. All that does is pops up the actual paper application, so you can see exactly what that looks like in paper form. All right. So in this instance, we've completed the application and it is in good order. So that means that we can proceed to the e-signature process. To do that, you click this button to lock the application. All that means is that there's nothing that can be changed on the application at this point. If there is a need to change something on the application or correct something that's misspelled, etc., you would just need to go back into the application and unlock it, make those changes, and you can unlock it by clicking this button right here, go back in, make those changes, relock it, and then start the signature process again. All right. So up until this point, it's the same type of application, whether you're doing a e-signature face-to-face or if you're doing an email signature. All right. You can also print and wet sign this as well. So you'd always have that option to print and wet sign. Below here is the criteria for the signature methods. So for a face-to-face signature, you're right there with the client. You're in the same location. The client has to possess a valid photo identification. All signers must agree to use the e-signature face-to-face process. and the agent will be required to print the forms and application at the time of application and give them to the insured. Now, we know that that's not possible, so we do ask that you just print it to a PDF and email it to them, whether during the signature process or actually when you're back at your office. And I can show you how to get to a copy of that PDF. What I'm going to demonstrate for you, though, since the face-to-face is pretty straightforward, you just go in, you turn your laptop or iPad around. The client is going to click a couple buttons on the screen. They're going to look at the application. They're going to agree to sign electronically by just clicking a button. They're going to apply their signature by clicking a button, and that's the end of their process. Turn the laptop around, and you, the agent, would do the same process and click submit, and it's transmitted to United of Omaha. If you're doing an email signature process, okay, this is intended for email only, so you're in a different location than the client, all right? This is what you would use, the email signature process, okay? So I'm going to check email signature process. I'm going to click the next button. All right, I've already collected the email address for the client, Jane Doe. I typed that in at the beginning when I was getting the client information. Okay, you would just confirm your address as the agent. Okay, and you go ahead then and click the next button. Okay, so what's going to happen then, you're going to see this screen. This is just the beginning of the email, okay? So it's not been sent yet. So what you need to do is you need to click this message, send message. It's going to go to the client, okay? The subject is going to say complete your United of Omaha application. It will come up and say thank you for choosing United of Omaha, etc. And I'm going to try to show you exactly what this looks like, okay? So I'm going to send the message. I always like to stay on the phone when the client is completing the signature process, just in case they have any issues. They will need to make sure that their pop-up blockers are off in order to get the email and complete the signature process. I'm just going to wait a second. Hopefully the email will come through here just shortly. What the email is going to look like, as I mentioned, it is going to be a nice HTML format. It's going to say to complete your application, we need your electronic signature. There's going to be a big blue button in the middle, and it'll say click here to be directed to your application. So basically they just click that button, and all it will do is be to bring up their consent to sign electronically. There will be a button for them to view the application. So they would review the application to see what that looks like, make sure everything is correct on the application. And then they would click a button to apply their signature electronically. And at that point, their signature process is complete. They will also have the option to view the application and see what their e-signature looks like on that application. The system doesn't look like it is going to show me the application at this point, but there are some signature guides and users guides that's on our website under the same Sales Tools tab. So once you're in the Sales Tools tab, you just look for e-application resources, and there's a guide out there that will show you what the screens look like and what the client actually sees, okay? So once the client has signed the application, you, the agent, will get an email back stating that the client has signed their application. It's now time for you, the agent, to sign the application. It looks almost identical. You click a button to open it up, review, click a couple buttons to apply your signature, and click Submit. And once you hit that Submit button, it automatically sends that application directly to Mutual of Omaha. All right. There's one thing I want to show you, since I'm not able to show you what that process actually looks like, but I do want to point out, remember when we started this case, there was two buttons, Start a New Case or View Existing Cases. If you click this button right here, My Cases, what it's going to do, it's going to bring you to a list of all of the cases that you have submitted electronically. So you can look at them, check the status. You can get your PDFs from that location as well. Okay, so the top part of this is going to show you alerts. So those are cases that need immediate attention. The bottom part is just other cases. So right here, this is the case that we just started, all right? So you'll see the customer, you'll see the status, it's awaiting the customer's signature. There will be a PDF of the application right here. If you click Case Details right here, it's going to bring up some additional information on that case, all right? Again, here's another PDF of the case. It's going to give you some basic information on the case on the left-hand side. It's also going to give you an activity history. So it'll tell you when you started the case, the email signature notification was sent to Jane. The email signature, again, I clicked the button twice, was sent to Jane. So once Jane opens the email, it'll say Jane has started the signature process, Jane has completed the signature process. It'll give you a notice that, agent, you need to complete the process. So there's a lot of information out here. If you're doing this email signature process, the signature must be obtained within 5 business days. If by chance it's not, you can resend this application by clicking this button right here, and it will send it to the client again for their signature. Or if for some reason they're not getting it, maybe it's going into their junk folder, you can have them look for it in the junk folder, or you can also resend it. Maybe it was just misplaced, whatever the reason. So that's basically how this works. I'm going to go ahead and click on the PDF just so you can see it. What happens is the system just transfers all the information that was entered into the system into a PDF of the document. Okay, so it's not going to let it pop up. I apologize, I'm having a little system errors, but take advantage of looking at that when you start an email. What I would recommend is, if you're new to this, is to practice going into the application itself. I would warn you not to completely submit an application, because it will be a live application at that point, and you might get a phone call from our underwriting area asking, is this a live application or not? So, but definitely go in, play around, enter some clients' names, fake information, put tests or something in as the name, just so if it does slip through, it's identifiable by our underwriting department. The system itself is really intuitive. Using e-application speeds up the application process. What happens is it comes into our underwriting area. All that data is pre-populated into our underwriting systems and queued up to an underwriter immediately. So there's no data entry on our part, which definitely speeds up the processing. Goes directly to the underwriters. We kick off the MIB and the farm check, and we begin underwriting. Okay. So at that point, that's all I have as far as the demonstration. So David, I'm not sure if there is any questions or not, but I will turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Sandy. I have unmuted the people who have dialed in. Susan or Tina, if you have any questions, now the time would be the time to bring them up. Otherwise, let's see, I got a question here. Is there any shortcut to doing 2 apps? Like, say you're writing up a whole life for both a husband and a wife. There's no joint application, is there, Sandy? It's just individual applications for each product?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. You can't do a husband and wife on the same application. It's the same as the paper version. If you're writing a app on a husband and wife using paper apps, it's the same. You have to complete 2 applications.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I did get one question during the webinar, and I think I answered it appropriately. The credit card information is only just for the initial premium. You cannot draw from a credit card on a going forward basis, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. But if someone is doing this remotely, like through a screen share, that's where a credit card could be advantageous, don't you think? Or they can do the whole thing electronically and have that commitment already with the credit card sitting there? Or I was hearing you kind of leaning away from that a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend taking a credit card for the initial payment.
Okay.
The only reason is because the system will force you to get the bank information anyway. So why have the client give a credit card for a single month payment or even a quarterly payment when you still have to, get I think it will only let you do a credit card payment for 1 month, and you still have to get the bank information.
So if you're going to select a different mode, like say an annual mode, and you want a conditional receipt, do you have to wait until you get that check from the client to submit the app, or how do you do that?
No, actually, if you're paying on an annual mode, then you didn't collect any money up front with the application, so the conditional receipt does not apply.
Okay. Otherwise, you have to. What happens if you did have conditional receipt and the client's going to mail you a check for that first annual?
Well, we don't recommend mailing in a payment until the policy is delivered. Because what happens if something changes, maybe they applied for level and now they're graded, the premium amount's going to be different.
Okay.
And, you don't have a policy number assigned to that case at the time, so it makes it a little bit difficult to match up the money, but we were able to do it, but it just will slow down the process.
Okay, so you will do a business on a cash on delivery basis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jericho, did that answer your question appropriately? I mean, if your client is selecting a different mode, okay, the credit card payment is limited to 1 month only, correct? Regardless of what mode of payment you select, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The first one only.
First one only. Okay.
Yep.
Jericho, I think that answered your question as far as if they pay annual premium, can you use credit card? If you do take credit card and they're selecting annual, they're still only going to charge 1 month against that credit card.
Let me correct that statement. If they choose annual mode and they choose pay by a credit card, we're going to charge the credit card for an annual payment, and then we're going to bill them for annually thereafter.
Okay, my bad.
No, I think I said that incorrectly initially, so I apologize.
Okay. So policy effective dates. When you do a COD piece of business, is the effective date? Can you request more than one effective date on the application, like the app date versus the issue date, or is the effective date of the policy always the issue date?
The effective date it depends on which payment option you choose. So think about it like this: if you say draft the premiums or pay the premiums immediately upon approval of the policy, the effective date is going to be the date that it's approved. Okay. If you choose draft the first month's premium on the 5th of the month, for example, then the policy is going to be issued, but it's not going to be effective until the 5th of the month when we withdraw the premium.
Okay. Stan, did that answer? I'm going to unmute you, Stan, here. Hang on. You had me on speakerphone earlier. I had background noise. Did that effectively answer your question, Stan?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions out there? Okay, I think Jericho squared away. Anybody else have any questions of Sandy while we have her here? That was an excellent presentation, by the way, Sandy. We really do appreciate that. You taking the time to walk us through this app. It's just one more easy button for you folks to use out there in the field, whether it be in your office with a client meeting or doing a screen sharing session, which is really picking up in popularity with more remote selling taking place. So
okay, let me just make a comment on that. We really don't recommend screen sharing. With the Life application, you do have the option to do a phone sale. So just type in the information and let the system email it directly to the client. You can stay on the phone during the signature process. That's fine. We have that face-to-face option, so there's really no need to do a screen share with that because you are with the client individually and you just let them look at your laptop to go ahead and click the signature button. Okay, we really just don't recommend a screen share because there's no real reason for it with the way the Life eApp is designed.
Okay, my bad.
That's okay.
I have my long-term care hat on that time.
Yep, no, that's okay.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions at all? All right. Well, Sandy, again, thank you so much for taking the time to educate us and a few of our folks on how to take advantage of this technology. Everybody else, thanks again for joining us today. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk with everybody soon. Take care, Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.